First tonight, speculation has reached fever pitch that the Prime Minister is about to call the federal election. When she does, Queensland will take campaign centre stage. Indeed, both Julia Gillard and the opposition leader Tony Abbott are expected in the Sunshine State this weekend. The 2007 Rudd slide delivered a swag of Queensland seats to Labor, but now more than half of the state's electorates hang in the balance. Francine Norton looks at the Queensland factor in the federal showdown.
After months of faux campaigning, the Prime Minister could be about to end the speculation. This election will have a very different look to 3 years ago. In 2007, Kevin Rudd became only the second Queenslander to be elected Prime Minister. But even he didn't anticipate the rug pulled from underneath him by his own party. It will soon become clear whether Queensland voters have embraced the change at the top.
The 2007 election was only the third time since the Second World War that Labor's recorded a majority of the two-party preferred in Queensland. It's unusual for Labor to do really well in Queensland at federal elections. It did very well last time. It had a Queenslander as leader at the time. You'd expect that Labor will lose votes at the 2010 election in Queensland.
The ABC's election analyst, Anthony Green, says the Sunshine State has long been Labor's Achilles heel in the federal arena, and this one may prove no different.
Queensland's had a long history of electing Labor governments, but at the federal level, it's much easier to scratch a Queenslander and have them feel very anti what's going on in Canberra. And over the years, the coalition has been much better at harnessing that anti-Canberra sentiment in Queensland than the Labor Party has.
Queensland is still at the front line of the major parties' campaign. Labor holds 15 of the 29 seats and has a stranglehold on metropolitan electorates. This year, Queensland gains its 30th seat, but redistributions mean 16 of those 30 hang by a margin of less than 5%. The Townsville-based seat of Herbert is held by the retiring LNP's Peter Lindsay, but is now a notional Labor seat. The Brisbane seat of Dixon has also swung Labor's way, and the opposition's health spokesman Peter Dutton needs to increase his vote to hang on to his job.
You guys got a couple of other regional seats in Queensland. Dawson, based on the sugar areas north of Mackay. You've got Flynn, which stretches inland from Gladstone, and Leichhardt, based on Cairns. All three of those seats are marginal. They fell to Labor with massive swings in 2007, and you expect there'll be some swing back towards the coalition at this election.
Resentment appears to have subsided since Julia Gillard's compromise on the resources tax. But political scientist Professor Clyde Bean says there are still lingering issues for Queensland voters.
The emissions trading scheme will be a factor, and of course that will be the case across the country. Health is also likely to be a factor. Again, across the country, health is nearly always quite a big issue in federal elections, but it may bite particularly in Queensland because of the ongoing issues with Queensland health.
This election sees the LNP making its debut in the federal arena, 2 years after the Liberal and National parties merged in Queensland. At today's State Council meeting in Brisbane, the troops were being rallied. Have you learnt any lessons from the state election that you're taking to the federal election?
A lot of lessons we learnt. We were relatively new at that stage, a young party, had to do a lot of work to get the two organisations moulded into the one party, but now we're a lot more advanced in those issues.
Federally, it hasn't been a smooth ride for the LNP either. In May, the state executive expelled the member for Ryan, Michael Johnson, over allegations he misused his parliamentary resources. A secret phone message later revealed Tony Abbott's promise to fix his legal issues, and the state LNP didn't back the federal leader. A month later, the LNP dumped Logan councillor Heinel Barn as its candidate for the new seat of Wright. And at the 11th hour, Griffith candidate John Humphreys got the chop in the LNP's anticipation of Kevin Rudd quitting politics. There have been some hiccups along the way. Has this damaged the LNP's preparations for the election?
No, I think because the party took decisive and fair action, that we are seeing that we are prepared to take the hard decisions. But during that time, Queenslanders voted with their feet, and we had 160 people joined our party. Since the 3rd of June, we've had another 175. So Queenslanders are saying they want a party that stands up and is accountable.
The turmoil has provided easy fodder for Labor. The outgoing Finance Minister, Lindsay Tanner, used the Parliament to brand the LNP a rabble in a state of chaos and confusion.
People are entitled to understand who they are being asked to vote for, to become acquainted with them, to hear what they've got to say and to know what they are on about. And they are being denied that opportunity in Queensland. The Liberal National Party in Queensland is demonstrating yet again the merit of Bob Hawke's old saying, which is, if you can't govern yourselves, you can't govern the country.
Labor has had its own share of problems since Kevin Rudd's demise. Chris Trevor considered quitting the race to keep his marginal Gladstone-based seat of Flynn. He backed down, but not before taking aim at factional bosses.
I also think it's pretty disgraceful the way they have tried to destroy his character and his achievements since they got rid of him. May I remind these people that we were all in this together.
Analysts say Labor's loss may be the Greens' gain. The party is confident it can pick up its first Senate seat in Queensland on the back of voter discontent about climate change and asylum seekers.
I think they'll be in with a good chance, but it will be narrow one way or the other whether they do get up or not.
Voters will have to make their decision in the face of a brutal, bare-knuckled campaign. And in the end, it may come down to trust.
I think this election is going to come down to Julia Gillard and the Labor government versus Tony Abbott and his coalition alternative. It's which side of politics is judged as more likely to provide more stable and competent government for the next 3 years.